Hey guys, it's Lisa from NYC Gal Out, and if you're watching on the tube, it's NYC Gal Pod. Welcome back to my channel. We are recapping Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. You guys are wondering what the hell this is across my nose. I had a punch biopsy done by the dermatologist. So this right here is just where they did the biopsy and the dermatologist stitched the punch biopsy together so that I don't have a scar. If I like put my face into the camera over here, you see this right here? Like, these are the things that you have to worry about. You know, you got to go to like a dermatologist to make sure that it's just like a beauty mark or a mole and it's not dangerous. I have another one right here on my nose somewhere, like up here. Oh my God, what am I doing? I'm like zooming into my pores. Like, oh my God, I'm so ridiculous anyway. All right, let's get to the episode. I feel like the season is so lackluster. I mean, they dragged out this Hamptons mini getaway for what I felt like seemed forever. And then we get like a very quick clip of Sutton eating ice cream and surrounded by her dogs and cats. Bo, she tells the ladies that she has a friend who has this gorgeous Italian villa and, you know, she's always been invited, but she never took up the offer until now. So she's hosting the cash trip and oh my God, whoever her friend is, I want to be that person's friend because the villa is gorgeous. This is not just your typical mansion. No, it's a villa. Like, it's legit, like legit. Anyway, it's gorgeous, gorgeous. But damn, like, Bose has friends like that? She's money. They're broken up into 3 groups. And let me tell you, Bose was really smart because Dorit wasn't in her group. And even though that's supposed to be her bestie, her on-camera bestie, she's using that executive corporation brain. I was like, oh, fuck no, this girl's usually like 2 hours late. I'm not dealing with that BS. I want to get there on time. I don't want to be sitting around waiting for nobody to show up an hour late. So Dorit was in like, I think the second group. I guess that group had to deal with just sitting there until Dorit showed up. I find that so incredibly rude. You know, once in a while it's okay. Or even if you're like 15, 20 minutes late, 20 minutes is pushing it. 15 minutes is okay, but 20, that's pushing it. But you're showing up like an hour, 2 hours late. And then she said something like she was getting her makeup, her glam done at 3 in the morning. You're getting your glam done at 3 in the morning to show up for a 5 a.m. flight? Nobody's going to notice you at 5 a.m. that you need to be in full glam. As a matter of fact, you showing up in full glam for a 5 a.m. flight makes you more noticeable. That stands out more than you just being in your pajamas. This was really weird. You know, Natalie was invited onto this cash trip. So that makes me believe that like Natalie had a lot of scenes that at the editing floor, they were just like, yeah, we're going to cut it out. Because why would you invite someone who like shows up for like 5 seconds at a time in these group scenes, in these dinner scenes? It doesn't make any sense. She's supposed to be a friend of Rachel So, but she didn't even go with Rachel So to the Hamptons. Well, anyway, she's invited to this cash trip to Italy, which is bonkers because we've seen this woman a total of like maybe 2 times and for like 5 seconds. But now Sutton, she goes to Bose and she says, oh, you know, I want to know if I could share with Amanda. I think she's doing that because her producer, I think it'll look really great if you're the one that volunteers to room with Amanda. Just like how I said in the previous recap, I was like, I do not think for a hot minute that Erica was like, oh, let me get to know Amanda better and go over to her house and kiki. No, Erica's producer was probably like, listen, Amanda needs a scene film. You need a scene film too. Episode ends with Sutton telling Amanda, basically giving her a little bit of advice saying, you know, I know how it feels like to be like the odd one out. Like, no, you're just an odd duck. Like, I keep on thinking of her first season with Crystal, where she's screaming, you and your ugly leather pants. And Crystal was like, I just don't know how to deal with you because you seem very manic. She does. Watching her on TV, because I don't know these people, but I feel the same way I do watching Brittany Bateman on Salt Lake City on my TV. A lot of people can't stand her, right? But I find her entertaining. I'm like, oh, this girl's a fucking mess. She is such a dumpster fire mess. But it's entertaining. I find it entertaining. And I feel the same way with Amanda. You know, she's annoying, she's insufferable, whatever. She's full of herself, yada, yada, yada. She's all of that. But I feel like you need to have a villain. You just do. You need a villain. You need to have someone that you don't necessarily enjoy watching just so that you could have something to like kind of judge, right? Now, Amanda, she has this scene where she's with her wedding planner. I think she wanted like rose petal coming out of a helicopter. Like, I don't even think the FAA would even allow that. She's supposed to be getting married this October. Let's see if it happens. It sounds very expensive. And it's a little weird because even in this episode, she kept talking about basically how she's the breadwinner. And I said, oh, I sense some sort of resentment. If you have to say so many times, you're paying for the house, you're paying for the wedding, you make more money than him, all this other stuff, that's resentment. That sounds to me like what Amanda is doing, but instead of saying it like Juicy Joe, she's basically kind of putting him down in a passive aggressive way. Look at what's happening with PK and Dorit. When he was still filming for Beverly Hills, would make remarks like, he's the one that pays for everything. He does everything. She doesn't contribute. All this other stuff. That's resentment. Maybe you feel like the other one isn't contributing enough. I found what she said ludicrous. This woman is 40 years old. She said she grew up in the 80s. No, you were born in the 80s. You grew up in the 90s. She's a millennial. I'm a millennial. And for her to say that it was unheard of for a successful businesswoman, like, girl, please. The Golden Girls came on in 1985. Are you kidding me? It's like the women's movement of the 80s. Throughout history, you had certain eras where like women empowerment really just skyrocketed. The 1920s, for example, the right to vote, right? Roe versus Wade in the 70s. Amanda, what are you even on? Because her saying, well, you didn't really see that in the 80s. Like, girl, it was 1980s, not 1800s. Like, what are you even on? There was definitely women in the workforce, okay? Women were doctors, lawyers, judges, okay? Like, what are you even on? Like, I don't even know what she's talking about. And it's just that mindset where I think it's like, people are like, this girl is fucking crazy. It's that cult mentality. I definitely see it because I was like, girl, I'm a millennial too. Like, what are you even on? You're making absolutely no fucking sense. Like, what? I side-eye Sutton too, because Sutton, she's kind of isolated a little bit herself. Like, listen, Sutton, the girls don't like you in that group and you don't have anyone, okay, right now. So you're trying to make nice with everyone, including with Amanda, but she's being a little bit whatever. And Amanda's like, well, I'm talking from like experience because I do have a degree in, like, girl, it does not matter if you have a degree in whatever. It's like Meredith. Meredith went to law school and she has a law degree, but Meredith is not a bar lawyer. So while she might know the legal terminologies and all this other stuff, Meredith has never argued a case in court. So I don't think Amanda has ever practiced. Does she have any clinical experience, or is it just like, oh, well, I do have, some knowledge about this? But even if you do have knowledge about this, the number one thing that they tell therapists and counselors and whatever, you can't not diagnose, and you should not diagnose someone that you do not have an actual assessment or clinical experience with. So unless she sat there with Dorit and PK, she cannot give any sort of validating whatever to their situation because she doesn't know. She knows it as much as you and I do recapping this episode. I think that's why she also comes off very annoying, because she has this kind of like know-it-all attitude, right? She knows it all. She knows everything. Anyway, Boz, she already had her stylist and her glam team fly ahead. Oh, maybe that's why Sutton and Amanda had to share. Maybe it was because Boz had to put her glam team somewhere. Oh, I didn't think of that because I was like, why are they sharing? Anyway, but maybe that's why they had to share. I mean, that was the episode. Rachel, she has a little talk with her two boys. I love the relationship that they have. And, Rachel, she does give the audience a little bit more backstory about why she was upset that I guess her ex Roger showed up with his new woman. But she was saying that it's because her boys aren't comfortable with her being there, and that if it was the other way around and her boys were like, Mom, I don't like the guy that you're with, she would make sure that he wasn't around her boys until they were comfortable with him being around. So I totally get that. So she gives a little bit more of a backstory into why she was upset when she found out that I guess the girlfriend has showed up to go pick up the boys. There's also a scene where Boz and Dorit, they meet up, and Boz is basically telling Dorit that, yeah, while you guys were in Hamptons, Al called me up to tell me she was sorry about you. You were acting kind of manic and whatever, kind of like OCD, buying up everything. And Dorit was upset. She was saying, well, if you're my friend, instead of going and telling it to someone else, why don't you say it to me? And Boz was like, no, I think she actually genuinely cares about you. I understand it from Kyle's perspective too, because Kyle, in her confessional, she was like, Dorit, right now, Dorit, she doesn't want to hear anything negative that I have to say about how she's going about this whole divorce. So it's better for me to tell it to someone she will listen to. And, she will definitely listen to Boz. But let me tell you, even if she doesn't listen to Boz, Boz is a strong woman. She's not going to back down. What I really loved, I love it, and I felt like she was really authentic, was when she was talking with Dorit, saying, how was it? How was the trip and everything? She said something like, oh, and I got to tell you, I was experiencing a little bit of a FOMO. That was the episode, guys. Kind of boring. I'm waiting for the season to pick up. So that was the episode. Really boring. I can't wait to take this damn thing off of my nose. I look so ridiculous. I have to walk outside with this thing too. I'm just like, whatever.